You didn't see that coming?
Challenging the Flash to a foot race takes a lot of gusto. There's not many characters in the DC universe who could beat the Scarlet Speedster in any of the Mantle's iterations, but it's not an unheard of task. Today, we're diving into hypothetical land and counting down characters we think could give the Flash a run for his money, pun intended. This is our list of the top 10 mutants faster than the Flash. As you can tell by the title, we're only looking at Marvel characters, specifically ones that are mutants, who dare stand a chance against DC's fastest man alive. Well, sort of. Most of the mutants on our list can't compete with Flashes the likes of Wally West or Barry Allen, but definitely can when it comes to the OG Flash, Jay Garrick, or alternate versions of the other Scarlet Speedsters. So take each number with a grain of salt in that sense. With that in mind, let's speed into our list. Starting us off in at number 10, Quicksilver. Quicksilver Pietro Maximoff is the most obvious character to land a spot on this list. He's also a character that was once classified as a mutant, but no longer is. He has been retconned to be a human genetically altered by the High Evolutionary these days. And while he's fast, Barry Allen did once beat him in a race. So if he can do it, Wally West, who is technically faster than Barry, would surely be able to outrun Quicksilver. But Quicksilver could also outrun the original Flash, Jay Garrick. He is faster. He's like Marvel's prime speedster who isn't a godly entity, and technically not a mutant. So let's move on to an actual mutant with our number 9, Nightcrawler. Okay, so hear us out on this one. Sure, Kurt Wagner isn't a speedster, but you could bet your butt that he's capable of moving incredibly fast thanks to his teleportation abilities. Kurt's teleportation works in a particular way. He's able to teleport by displacing himself into a place called the Brimstone Dimension, which he travels through, and then he returns to his own dimension in the 616 to a place that he consciously chose. This process happens incredibly fast though, to the extent that he is unaware of even being in the Brimstone Dimension altogether. But it also has some hangups too. Kurt finds it easier to teleport between north and south, along the Earth's magnetic field lines, than east and west, against the magnetic lines. So sometimes he's not as fast as he could be, but he's still pretty darn quick. Speaking of teleporters, that brings us to our number 8, Blink. Blink earned her alias name thanks to the fact that she teleports within a blink of an eye, and also because that's the noise her teleportation makes. Blink is Clarice Fong Ferguson. While she exists in the 616, the more popular version of her is from the Age of Apocalypse timeline on Earth 295. That version is a more confident Clarice, and is the leader of the Exiles. She's actually one of the only team members who has been with them since the start. She is capable of something called dimensional energy projection, which causes disruption by partial teleportation. She can harness it into physical weapons that look like crystal javelins, which will teleport any person or object they touch. Regardless, she's a pretty fast teleporter. Moving on to number 7, Quicksilver. Again? Yep, but we are talking about an alternate version this time. We're looking specifically at the mutant Quicksilver who appeared in the Fox cinematic universe. This Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, is the son of Magneto, although the two have never met face to face, both knowing this fact. He is a young speedster who became one of the most favorable comic reliefs throughout the recent barrage of X-Men films, made by Fox. While this youngin' may not be able to achieve the speeds of Barry Allen or Wally West, he could likely beat Jay Garrick in a foot race, and probably do some nifty tricks that would make us chuckle while he was at it. Unfortunately, he might not be around for much longer, considering the MCU-owned Disney now has the rights back fully to their mutant characters, taken out of the hands of Fox. And the MCU has already depicted a Quicksilver in their cinematic universe, who is dead. Moving on to number 6, Spitfire. Spitfire is Lady Jacqueline Falsworth, the daughter of a British aristocrat who, back during World War I, was the costume hero known as Union Jack. After being caught in the crossfire with her father, Jacqueline was rescued by the Invaders, the early Timely Comics superhero team during World War II that consisted of the original android Human Torch, Captain America, and Namor. Suffering from blood loss, she was rushed to the hospital and received an emergency blood transfusion from the Human Torch. When the hospital was attacked though, Jacqueline discovered that she now had super speed powers, and used those powers to actually save the Human Torch from an attack by villain Blue Bullet. Her powers in full consist of hyperspeed, which allows her to move faster than the speed of sound. She can maintain this pace indefinitely. Her body also has an adaptive physiology able to handle the impact of high-speed running, giving her a massively improved and evolved cardiovascular and respiratory system. Because of this and her heightened metabolism, she can easily endure many impact injuries. She would later become a vampire, weird, and an agent of MI-13, but both of those are stories for a different list. In at number 5, NORTHSTAR. NORTHSTAR first debuted in X-Men issue 120 back in 1979. He is a mutant with a plethora of powers, including superhuman speed. He can propel his body as if he were a living projectile, and if he focuses hard enough, he can actually channel a portion of the kinetic energy of the atomic motion in his body's molecules to go in a single direction. Now, this accelerates his body in a velocity that is in direct proportions to the amount of kinetic energy he has tapped. This means that NORTHSTAR can reach up to 186,272 miles per second in a vacuum, 99% of the speed of light, although he's never moved that fast for fear of damaging himself and the environment around him. How considerate. NORTHSTAR also has heightened reflexes, an accelerated metabolism, and has the ability to use his speed to automatically compensate for any G-force difference. Speaking of NORTHSTAR though, let's look at his sister in at number 4, AURORA. AURORA also debuted in X-Men issue 120 in 1979, and she's NORTHSTAR's twin, despite the two not having grown up together. She can achieve the same speeds as he can, but she also has another nifty speed-based trick up her sleeve. AURORA is capable of molecular acceleration, allowing her to accelerate the molecules within an inanimate object or a living being all by touching them, which causes them to tear itself apart from the stress of it all. In addition to that, she also has heightened reflexes, which surely come in handy. Moving on to a more famous speedster, in at number 3, the WHIZZER, Robert Frank. The WHIZZER is Robert Frank, a fellow who first appeared in 1941's USA Comics issue 1. The WHIZZER has a very, very long history in Marvel's comics, before Marvel was even Marvel. He was also killed off in 1982 after spending a chunk of time slipping into obscurity. No doubt that this is thanks to the aspects of his origin story that many people find rather silly. So, his origin story tells of how he was the son of a famous scientist and was on an expedition with his father when he was bitten by a cobra. Daddy Dearest then watched a mongoose kill the cobra that bit his son, in a strange turn of events, so he decided to recall an old wives' tale, which apparently was that the blood of a mongoose has resurrection and healing powers. Right, yes, that famous old wives' tale. He then goes and injects his dying son with mongoose blood. Then, he himself died of a heart attack from the stress of it all. Robert then comes to, sees that his dad is dead, and discovers that this mongoose blood has activated his mutant physiology, giving him superhuman speed. Silver linings, am I right? He possesses hyperspeed abilities, and in his prime he could run up to 100 miles per hour before being affected by fatigue. Now, because of this, his legs were jacked, and he could leg press up to 1,500 pounds once upon a time. These days, he's just a subtle Easter egg and reference in the Jessica Jones TV series. Oh, how far Robert Frank has come. Moving on to number 2, Apocalypse. So this one kind of feels like cheating a bit, mainly because Apocalypse is an extremely powerful mutant who can do it all. So naturally it would make sense that he'd land on this list. But not number 1. That'd be too easy. Apocalypse has superhuman speed levels that extend to his reflexes and his reaction time. While flying, because he can also do that too, he can achieve supersonic velocity by transforming his arms into wings, jets, or other means thanks to his telekinetic powers. Because Apocalypse is capable of self-molecular manipulation, he can also alter the molecular structure of his body at will. He's able to bestow new powers onto himself, consciously or spontaneously granting superpowers. So yeah, dude can be fast, and could likely alter his speed if he hopped comic universes and decided to challenge one of the Flashes to a race. And you know what? He'd probably win. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, speed. While Apocalypse is kind of a trump card, we had to give the top spot to an actual speedster, or known speedster rather. And that mutant speedster is none other than Speed. Speed, aka Thomas Shepard, is the brother of Wiccan. Previously, he and his brother were thought to be the children of Scarlet Witch, but thanks to a good old retcon, that is no longer the case. Speed is a member of the Young Avengers from the mid-2000s. He is a mutant with an enhanced physiology designed for supersonic speed, which includes the ability to run, move, and react at speeds far greater than the average human. His maximum speed is unknown, but he can achieve at minimum Mach 4. Thomas is also capable of molecular acceleration, generating hyperkinetic vibrations that accelerate the molecules in matter, causing solid objects that he directs said vibrations to explode. In addition to that, he's got superhuman agility, reflexes, strength, stamina, and durability, and something known as accelerated perception, which allows Speed's brain to process information at incredibly fast rates that match his physical speeds. This lets him perceive his surroundings when moving at high velocities, and to him, makes it look as if the world is moving around him in slow motion. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other fast mutants can you think of that could make one of the many Flashes run for their money? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts and feels. If you dug this video, you folks know what to do. Hit that like button, share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more lists just like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.
It's not